Have you ever discovered that the person you trusted most was living a completely different life behind your back? Because if you've ever been cheated on, lied to, or made to feel like someone's second choice, this story is for all of us. Before we jump in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments if you've ever witnessed karma work faster than expected. Now let's get into today's story. About a year into dating my boyfriend, I honestly thought I'd found my person. We weren't in that awkward stage of figuring out what we were anymore. We had settled into routines. He knew exactly how I liked my coffee. He knew what movies made me cry. We talked about future vacations, future apartments, and sometimes even joked about what our kids would inherit from each of us. He wasn't perfect, but he made me believe he cared. Then Thanksgiving came around, and for the first time he invited me to meet his family. If you've ever been in a serious relationship, you know meeting the family feels like crossing an invisible line. It's the moment you start imagining that maybe this person is truly part of your future. I spent way too much time deciding what to wear. I bought dessert to bring with us. During the drive there, I rehearsed everyone's names in my head because I desperately wanted to make a good impression. When we arrived, his mom greeted me with a warm hug. His dad immediately started joking with everyone around the dinner table. His siblings welcomed me like they'd known me forever. The smell of turkey and stuffing filled the house while football played in the background. I remember sitting there looking across the room at him as he smiled at me. I smiled back and thought I could do this for the rest of my life. Little did I know that less than 12 hours later, my entire reality would come crashing down. The next morning, sunlight peeked through the guest room curtains. I woke up before everyone else. Eventually my boyfriend got out of bed, kissed me on the forehead, grabbed a towel, and headed into the shower. Everything felt completely normal. Then his phone started buzzing. Once, twice, 3 times, then again. At first I ignored it. It wasn't my business, but it just kept going. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Finally I glanced toward the screen. That's when my stomach dropped. The message preview read, "Babe, I miss you." It came from an unsaved number. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I tried to convince myself there had to be some innocent explanation. Maybe it was a joke, maybe it wasn't what it looked like, but deep down I already knew. I copied the number into my own phone and quietly stepped into another room before making the call. A woman answered. At first she sounded cheerful, then I introduced myself. The silence that followed told me everything before she even spoke. She had no idea I existed. She told me they worked together, he had pursued her, he had introduced himself as single. They had started seeing each other around the exact same time he and I had started dating. As she shared details, my entire body went numb. Date nights, sleepovers, future plans. While I thought I was building a relationship, he had been building another one right beside ours. I slid down against the wall and sat on the floor trying to breathe. My chest hurt, my hands were shaking. Cheating isn't just betrayal, it steals your memories, it steals your trust. It makes you question every laugh, every compliment, every "I love you." Was any of it real? How many times had he kissed me goodbye before going to see her? I should have exploded. I should have marched into that bathroom and thrown his phone at him. But as the tears dried, something unexpected happened. The heartbreak transformed into clarity. I realized he didn't deserve my breakdown. He deserved consequences. I packed my bags quietly, folded my clothes, zipped up my suitcase, then I carried everything downstairs without anyone noticing. A few minutes later he came downstairs with wet hair and an oblivious smile. "You okay?" he asked. I smiled back. "Yeah," I said. We walked into the kitchen where his family had gathered for breakfast. His mom was pouring coffee. His dad sat at the table reading the newspaper. Everyone looked up and smiled. I placed my suitcase beside me and calmly said, "I just found out your son has been cheating on me, so I won't be staying for breakfast or any future meals." Silence, complete silence. His mother's face lost all color. His father slowly lowered the newspaper. One of his siblings nearly choked on their drink, and my boyfriend looked absolutely terrified. "Wait," he started. "No," I interrupted. "You've had plenty of opportunities to explain yourself." I didn't yell, I didn't cry, I simply told the truth. Then I picked up my bags, walked out the front door, and got into my car. As I drove away, relief washed over me at first, then sadness, then anger, pure anger. I replayed every lie in my head, every promise, every fake smile. Then I remembered something. Months earlier, a friend of mine had moved out of state and given me a complete living room and dining room set she couldn't take with her. I had gifted all of it to my boyfriend because I loved him. The couch, the dining table, the chairs, the coffee table, the side tables. I had helped turn his apartment into a home. Suddenly I knew exactly what I was going to do. I called my friend who owned a pickup truck. She answered immediately. "What's wrong?" she asked. "My boyfriend cheated on me," I said. "I'm taking my furniture back." There was a pause before she replied with the only correct response. "Tell me where to meet you." When we arrived at his apartment, I still had the key he had given me. We unlocked the door and got to work. The couch went into the truck. The dining table disappeared next. Then the chairs, the coffee table, the side tables. Back and forth we went, loading everything piece by piece. Somewhere between carrying furniture and sweating through our clothes, we started laughing. Not because getting cheated on was funny, but because the absurdity of the situation finally hit us. The man who thought he was clever enough to juggle 2 relationships was about to come home to an apartment that echoed when he walked through it. Eventually I stepped back and looked around. The place was empty, completely empty. It wasn't about money. Most of the furniture had been free to begin with. It was about principle. I had contributed to building his comfort while he destroyed the relationship that comfort represented. Then my phone started exploding. Calls, text messages, voicemails, some from him, some from numbers I didn't recognize. I blocked every single one. Instagram, Facebook, phone number, everything. He lost access to me forever, and apparently he also lost every comfortable place to sit while thinking about what he'd done. But here's the best part of this entire story. The other woman and I eventually met up for coffee. We compared timelines and filled in the missing pieces. Neither of us had known the other existed. Neither of us had deserved what happened. Instead of blaming each other, we supported each other. We laughed about how ridiculous the entire situation was. Somehow, two women brought together by one man's lies ended up becoming friends. Meanwhile, he lost everything. He lost his girlfriend. He lost the other woman. He embarrassed himself in front of his family. He exposed himself as a liar, and he came home to an apartment stripped bare of everything I'd given him. I think that's what makes this revenge so satisfying. It wasn't violent, it wasn't destructive, it wasn't about causing pain for the sake of pain. It was accountability. He lost exactly what his choices cost him. Sometimes karma arrives years later, sometimes it never arrives at all. But every once in a while, karma shows up immediately with a pickup truck in an empty living room. If there's one thing this story teaches us, it's that someone's betrayal doesn't define your value. Their dishonesty reflects who they are, not who you are. Sometimes closure isn't getting an apology. Sometimes closure is choosing yourself, walking away with your dignity intact, and leaving the person who hurt you standing alone in the consequences of their own actions. If you enjoyed today's story, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell me in the comments which part of this revenge was your favorite. Exposing him in front of his family or taking back every piece of furniture from his apartment. Thanks for watching, and remember, never underestimate the quiet strength of someone who's finally had enough.